Fit and Healthy Forever. I want to do a very short video today on what may seem a strange one to some people, the quality of eggs. Now, if you follow a healthy diet, especially a bodybuilding weight training type of diet, you will probably eat a lot of eggs. Not a fantastic amount, but there's nothing wrong with having 2, 3, 4 eggs a day as a normal daily total. So I'm not talking a dozen a day or anything silly like that, but what I wanted to sort of go through was you've got your normal commercial eggs and what I call pasture raised. Now the difference is your normal commercial eggs are what they call caged hens. So obviously the hens are kept in cages, some of them never see the light of day. They're fed on things like corn and soybean grain and oil and genetically modified food substances. So the quality of the eggs is not as good. Now it's probably not something you've thought about a lot, and I didn't myself until a month or so back. And I saw something on YouTube about it. A doctor was giving a talk on it in America, where I get a lot of my information from. So I had a listen, and it's a very short video, but it hits home, it tells you. And when I go through this, you might realise it's very cost effective. It's not going to cost you the earth to change over. So your commercial eggs. Now, I used to buy them from Iceland. They're £1 for 10 or £1.60 for 20. So you get 2 for 160, 2 packs of 10. They're high in what's called omega-6s. Now, although you need omega-6s, the ratio to 6s to 3s should be of a certain amount. So if you're predominantly omega-6s in your body through things like sunflower oil, safflower oil, commercial eggs, things like that, it's quite inflammatory to your body. So you don't need a fantastic amount of omega-6s. You need to get more omega-3s in. So the high in omega-6s, which causes inflammation, they're normally fed GMO foods, which are genetically modified, things like cornstarch, soy oil, things like that, just rubbish basically they're fed. They're factory farmed, which they're normally caged and they never let out. Some of them never see the light of day, as I said earlier. They can also, the foods that they're fed can also have formaldehyde in. Now, short-term effect is watery eyes, burning sensation in the eyes, nose and throat. This is a dangerous substance, and it's sometimes in the foods that are fed in grains and that to sometimes things like cattle as well. But I'll do that another time. But for eggs, it can, not all the time, but quite often have formaldehyde in traces. Under conditions of unusually high exposure, it's probable human carcinogen, which means it can cause cancer in humans basically. It's an outside chance, but to me, if I can eliminate that outside chance, I will do. And that's what things like formaldehyde can do. So this came from the US Environmental Protection Agency in 1987. So they've known since 1987 that this can cause, they say a possible, the wording is probable human carcinogen, which is cancer causing basically. So probable, possible, I'd rather eliminate it altogether. If you get pasture raised eggs, now I'll go through in a minute what they cost and where you can get them from really cheap. They're high in levels of omega-3s, which is anti-inflammatory. So although you need 3s and 6s, you need a good measure of both. I went over this before in one of my previous videos, the ratio you need to get them in. They're also fed on grass. I'll go through that again in a minute because I've covered the websites of where these eggs come from, and there's a government standard that they have to meet. So they're fed grass, which is what nature intended. They're high in carotenoids, which help the immune system, the heart, eyes and the prostate. So carotenoids are a very useful substance to have in your foods rather than have to go search for it as a supplement. They're a rich source of choline, which prevents a fatty liver, among other things. contains all fat-soluble vitamins A, E, D and K2. So again, if you're eating a decent amount of eggs, I'd probably take 2 or 3 a day, occasionally 4 or 5, but on a regular basis 2 or 3 a day. They're not as bad for you as people have always made out. Please get that out of your head. They're not bad for you at all. So they contain leucine, which is a muscle building and recovery substance. Now, when you buy whey proteins and that for people who are bodybuilding, doing resistance work, your leucine is the major spark that triggers protein synthesis. So when you get the 3 major amino acids, branched chain amino acids, they are leucine, isoleucine and valine. They are the 3 that you must have in your whey proteins if you're going to build muscle. While leucine comes in high amounts in quality eggs. It has 2 times more vitamin E than cage-fed hens. Increases oxygen capacity for help you to train longer. That's what vitamin E does, as one of the things it does. If you can get organic, even better. But if you just get them as pasture raised, it makes a big difference from the caged hens. They're never going to tell you the caged hens, it's because it's a bit of a stigma to it. So it never says caged hens on the box. But if they're not pasture raised or organic, then you're probably getting caged hens eggs, and they're very poor quality. They contain 38% more vitamin A, which is a powerful antioxidant. Now, almost every video I'm doing these days, you'll hear me mention antioxidants. You cannot get enough of these. This is what fights the inflammation in your body. Inflammation is causing chronic and major diseases. It's causing your body to underperform. You need to get rid of an inflammatory diet and get to an anti-inflammatory one. And these are a good start. It also plays a role in your healthy vision as well. Now, as regards getting these eggs, the cholesterol in eggs is a precursor to making adrenal glands, for starters. Now, if you've seen my video on cholesterol, don't be worried about your cholesterol too much. If you're taking in an anti-inflammatory diet, good quality food, you will not have I don't want to go into it too much. There's no such thing as good and bad cholesterol. It's a bit of a myth. But if your cholesterol is raised to ridiculous levels, then it could be a problem. But if your diet is pretty much on point, that's not going to happen. Okay. There are no negative studies on pasture-raised eggs causing heart problems at all. So don't worry about the cholesterol in them, the fat in them. You need fats. Your brain is 60 or 70% fat. All your adrenal glands and all your glands and hormones are made from cholesterol and fats. You need them. When people are cutting these down to ridiculous minimums, you're actually affecting your health. You really are affecting your health. So also, the 2 types that I use are Staveley eggs from Home Bargains. Now, if you live local, you know Home Bargains. There's one in every town, village, wherever. Now, the hens there are free to roam open grassland during daylight hours. Now, if you go onto Staveley's website, Staveley Farm in Yorkshire, it has to meet government guidelines. And what they tell you is they have teams of people that rear the hens, who look after the egg laying part of it. And during daylight hours, these hens roam the fields in grassy lands, which is what nature intended. I can understand why they don't do it 24/7, foxes and all that sort of thing. But during daylight hours, which in the summer could be 12 hours, 16 hours longer, so they're allowed to roam around. And they've got little egg-laying compounds where they're free to go in and out and lay eggs as they choose. There's also a company called Merivale Eggs, which I've had from Aldi. Again, if you live in the UK, Aldi's everywhere. All I can find on that, they haven't got a specific website. They come through like a broker type thing, and they just say that it meets the Britain's standard on free range eggs. So if they're free range, they should be roaming. They're not necessarily organic, but if you can get organic free range, even better. Now, The Home Bargains ones from Staveley, I pay £1.75 a dozen. Now, okay, they're a pound for 10 in Iceland, which are the non-organic, the caged hens. There's not a lot of difference really. I mean, again, it's pennies. For a good quality egg with a lot more nutrients in it, a lot more beneficial to your body, I think it's well worth it. So you can buy 20 for £1.60, or you can buy a dozen for £1.75. You know, you're not talking like a great deal of money. So again, as I've always said, I look for the quality that I can afford. Is it sustainable? It's no use buying them for 1 week and then having to buy the others for 3 or 4 weeks. Look at it from a cost-effective point of view. Work out how much it's going to cost you a month if you had 2 or 3 eggs a day. So if you had a dozen, 4 days, you'd want 2 dozen a week. £3.50. I mean, come on. It's not a lot of money for your health. Your health's worth it. So I just wanted to point that out because I don't know how many people have ever looked at this. I hadn't until, as I say, probably a month, maybe 5 weeks ago. And I started thinking, wow, there's no difference here hardly in money. It's just pennies. Again, so do it. Your health's worth it. You're getting much better quality. So try the ones, the Home Bargains ones I feel are the best. You'll see the colour difference. The ones you're buying from caged hens are like a very yellow, a pale yellow sort of thing. These are more of a rich colour. You'll see it as soon as you open them up. There's a rich colour there. They just look so much healthier just to look at. So enough on that one. As always, thanks everyone for taking the time to listen. I hope these little tips on superfoods and antioxidant foods and things like that help. You don't have to incorporate them all. Look at what's beneficial to you, what you can incorporate cost-wise, time-wise, and just make some changes. It's just well worth it, believe me. I can't explain how much better you feel when you're eating quality foods and you're on an anti-inflammatory diet and you exercise regular. You get up loving every day, honestly. Do it, and do it straight away. So thanks again for listening. Like, subscribe, and tell all your friends if you like what I'm putting out. So until the next time, stay fit and healthy forever, and I'll see you soon.